Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more latest news. So you have just quite recently seen a match reaction for the Manchester United Leicester game. Of course, Manchester United won by 1-0. Thanks to a Marcus Rashford penalty in the 8th minute mark. So it was a good result for Manchester United, especially reflecting on the amount of injuries we had obviously Pogba and Anthony Martial didn't play in the game. Obviously Luke Shaw was out through injury. Jesse Lingard was out through illness. So obviously we had quite a few of our imperative players out, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solsjaker had to make alterations in the squad. Reflecting on the amount of injuries we currently have. But yeah, it's a really good result. It's Manchester United's second win of this season. Obviously 5 games now into the season. So we've won 2, we've won 2, we've drawn 2, and of course we have lost 1. So far this season we have registered 8 points from a possible 15. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer give his overarching view on the game, and he actually believes he's admitted that Man United didn't play a great game, but the most essential thing is where we did get the 3 points, and also we did manage to keep a clean sheet. Maybe if we would have had Pogba, Martial playing, and maybe Luke Shaw, maybe it would have been more than 1-0. So potentially wasn't great today. I thought it was a better performance than we showed against Southampton. It wasn't a great performance today, but I did initially say, and a lot of Manchester United fans said we could grind a result out against Leicester, and also it's Leicester's first defeat of the Premier League season, because don't forget they've enjoyed a pretty decent start to the season. But Leicester have got good players, like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said in his press conference prior to the game. They've also got a pretty decent manager, but Leicester have got some good players in their team that can cause you problems, and Leicester did for large periods of the game today, Leicester controlled that game. They didn't really create a lot in terms of goal chances and that, but I think David De Gea had to make a couple of saves in the first half. I think James Maddison had a chance. I think also Ben Chilwell had a big chance for Leicester. But yeah, Leicester have got pretty decent players. They've got Chilwell, they've got Yuri Tillemans, we are one of their summer signings. Obviously they've got James Maddison and that. They've got Jamie Vardy. Leicester have lost quite a few of their imperative players in recent years. They lost Raheem Mahrez last summer to Manchester City. Obviously they lost Harry Maguire to us earlier on in the summer. But Leicester have got a pretty decent squad, and Solskjaer did say in his press conference that he believes Leicester will push for the top 4 this season, because they'll push for the top 4 this season, because they have got the players to do it. I think Leicester spent around £90 million in the summer, obviously on James Justin, who they spent £6 million for. It totals up to around £90 million. They recommended 4 players in. Obviously they paid £40 million for Yuri Tillemans. That's their most expensive signing. They got Perez in for around £30 million, and obviously they got Dennis Pryor in from Sampdoria earlier on in the summer. So Leicester are a pretty decent team, but hopefully now with this result today, we can go on a winning run. Obviously we've got games coming up thick and fast. Obviously we've got FC Astana coming up in the Europa League. Obviously that's on Thursday, and that's a game Man United need to win. Obviously we've got West Ham. That's our next league game, is West Ham away from home. That's also a game Manchester United need to win. I think hopefully Paul Pogba and Martial will regain full fitness by that game. I'm not too sure about Luke Shaw if he's going to be involved in the game against West Ham. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did confirm that Luke Shaw will be out for the next week or 2, because obviously he's got a hamstring injury. And then I think after West Ham it is Rochdale in the Carabao Cup. Then it is Arsenal at Old Trafford. So games are coming up thick and fast. But for me, we're still not scoring enough goals, and we're not being clinical enough in front of goal. And this is something Manchester United do need to justify. And so far this season, of what I said, it's mainly replicating what I saw last season, because last season was a huge disappointment. We finished 6th. Obviously we didn't win any silverware, and obviously failed to qualify for the Champions League. And I did say in that aspect, it went against us in the summer transfer when of getting all the players that we did want in, because obviously certain players at a certain calibre and level would have had reservations about joining Manchester United. Obviously with our failure to qualify for the Champions League, but we can't enjoy a worse season this season than what we saw last season. But we've just got to go on a winning run now. Basically we've got to win. Well, we've got to try and win every game. Win as many games as possible, and that if we do want to finish in that top 4 at least by the end of the season, because I did say, our expectations this season, will be to finish in that top four, perhaps maybe win the Europa League. And obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got to exceed these expectations. I think our aspirations will be that top four in the next couple of seasons. I obviously did say, we have got big expectations for the future, and obviously them expectations are obviously, want to get back to winning silverware, and this is obviously something Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, wants to bring back to the football club. Obviously wants to bring that fear factor back to Manchester United, and we're all aware that fear factor, hasn't been there since the Alex Ferguson era. But I would give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer more time, to make further more investment in January, maybe perhaps next summer, because I think the board confirmed at the start of the season that they realised that they didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, throughout the course of the summer. I'll credit him in the aspect, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, recommended, 3 good players to the squad, and it was good in the aspects, that we did address, some of the problematic areas, but we didn't address all the problematic areas. But I think we could address, the more of the problematic areas in January. We did get that experienced centre half, and we also got that right back in, so that was very, very good. And our 3 signings have done really, really well so far. They've had all the trio have had fantastic starts to their Manchester United careers. Daniel James has done really, really well. He's done really, really well as Daniel James, so far. Obviously, I think he's replicated, so far this season with Man United what he did, last season with Swansea, because he was good with Swansea last season. He only made his senior debut for Swansea back in February 2018. Daniel James, don't forget, scored in his competitive debut at the start of the season against Chelsea, but he is only 21 years of age. And Wan-Bissaka's been absolutely sensational. Again, I thought he played really, really well today. I think Wan-Bissaka's distribution's good. He shows that ability to play out from the back. Obviously, there was doubts before the game he may not have played, obviously, because he obviously had to withdraw from the England squad the other week, the day Wan-Bissaka, obviously following a back injury, he had sustained. Obviously, that in that aspect, it prevented him, from making his England senior debut. So that, that may have infuriated Wan-Bissaka a bit, but it was good, he actually, played today. But I think, his valuation will grow and grow, if he does, keep this consistency up. But I don't think he's a liability at all. I think he's reliable enough, to keep this consistency up. Man United paid around, was it £50 million for, Wan-Bissaka. Was primarily a right winger when he was younger, but obviously as he was developing, he got rotated as a right back. And Harry Maguire, I think, he's fitted in our backline really, really well, and I think him and Lindelof, are blending in very, very well together in that backline. I thought Harry Maguire again did well today. Don't forget, he was reuniting with his, former club today, Leicester, but Harry Maguire did really, really well today. Some people believe that Wan-Bissaka has been the most consistent signing so far. Maybe he has, but I think also Harry Maguire has done really, really well. Don't forget the club paid £80 million for him, and I did say at the time, we signed Harry Maguire. A lot of Manchester United fans, including me, said we did overpay for him. But I did say in these markets to this day and age, you've got to overpay for players, and obviously we're known anyway, for overpaying for players. And then when it comes to letting them go, we let them go for next to nothing. And in that aspect, that's bad business from the football club. But that's bad business from the football club, and we've done it quite a few times. This summer, obviously we let Darmian go for next to nothing. We let Ander Herrera go on a free transfer. So we are known for doing that. But Harry Maguire is obviously the most expensive defender in the world. He's actually the second most expensive signing at the club, and also the second most expensive signing in the Premier League. But obviously Harry Maguire is our best option than what we've got in our backline at the moment. Like with Lindelof, I thought he did really, really well today, so I'll credit him in that aspect. And I did say, even though he was a bit below par in his last couple of games, prior today, I still said that he's still a long-term solution for Man United, because I think his solution in this Manchester United squad, really, really well, is Victor Lindelof. So I thought, when we had a pretty decent game today, but I thought quite a lot of them, played well. There were some players that didn't perform great. Obviously, there was a lot. There's a lot of element of concerns about that midfield, and you could see the difference in that midfield today. Without Paul Pogba in it. Obviously, it was McTominay, playing alongside Matic in that midfield today. The only reason Nemanja Matic got pitched today is obviously, following the injury of Paul Pogba. But I think McTominay, has had a fantastic start to this season, so in that aspect, I will credit him. Obviously, he's young, he's still developing in that, and I did say, Man United have got a lot of young players, that are developing and trying to improve. But McTominay, if in terms of being a long-term solution for Man United, I've got, concerns of element in that aspect, but I think he's had a great start to this season, so I do believe, he should keep his place in the squad, if I'm going to be quite honest. Obviously, mainly so far this season, he has been mainly playing alongside Paul Pogba, but obviously following Paul Pogba's injury today, he was playing alongside Nemanja Matic. Andres Pereira, got started again today. I think that's 2 games on the trot now. Andres Pereira, has started. Was disappointing against Southampton and that. But I don't think he was brilliant today. If I'm going to be quite honest, I thought probably the best player was Wan-Bissaka or Harry Maguire. It's between one of them. But it wasn't a great performance today. We probably grinded them out with the result. Leicester had said, had a lot of their moments in the game. Fred came on in the game. I thought Fred did really, really well, when he came on. And Solsjaker did initially say he expects to see better things from Fred this season. Fred came on for Matic. Obviously, Tuanzebe came on for Daniel James. And also someone else came on. Chon came on for Wan. I think that's Chon's first time he's played this season in the Premier League. So it was good to see, him come on. I'm surprised Mason Greenwood didn't play today. Like I did say, I thought Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have selected him today, because it recently said that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has become infuriated, with Rashford's recent performances. Rashford did better today than he did do in the Southampton game, because, Rashford got a lot of criticism, reflecting him on his bad performance, he put out against, Southampton. Rashford was playing centrally today, so obviously he kept his position. Obviously he's fulfilling Anthony Martial's role, because obviously Anthony Martial is out with injury. But I just thought, it would have been. I thought Mason Greenwood would have got given the chance today. He didn't even play at all today, Mason Greenwood. So far this season, he has made 4 substitute appearances. And I thought, well, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got a lot of trustworthy in his young players, so I will credit him in that aspect. But Mason Greenwood is demanding more playing time, so he needs to get given the chance to play a full game. He's only 17 years of age, and it recently said early on this week that, or was it last week, Solskjaer was considering giving Mason Greenwood more of a prominent role at the football club. So I think he needs to get given a chance, to play in that number 9 role. But yeah, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, did make alterations today. Obviously, Young was playing at left back. Second game in a row now that Young has played at left back. Obviously, he's fulfilling Luke Shaw's role, because obviously, Luke Shaw is out with a hamstring injury. Young did quite well today, so I will credit him in that aspect. Young did quite well. Obviously, he captained the team today, for the second game in a row. But I think this could be Young's last season as a Manchester United player. Obviously, Young is now 34 years of age. I think he's 35 next year, but he has passed his sell-by date, as we all know. The only reason Young played is obviously, with the injuries we've got, we've got quite a few fullbacks out and that. Maybe if Wan-Bissaka wouldn't have been playing today, maybe Rojo, could have, started, from the start. Maybe he could have played at left back and Young played at right back, something like that. We know Diego Dalot's another fullback that's out with injury. He's got a groin problem. I don't know how long, Diego Dalot's going to be out for. It hasn't really said, it hasn't given a return date, when he's going to regain full fitness. But Diego Dalot is out with a groin problem. I think, he should get given his opportunities this season. Obviously, we do know that Diego Dalot is one of the backup options in the team. But like I did say, we need to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer more time, to make further more investment, because you can still quite frankly say, he's in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United squad, because analysing, there's only 3 players that are Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, so he's still in the process of rebuilding. So definitely further more investment is needed in January, maybe next summer and that. But I do believe, the players, we was in for throughout the course of the summer, probably more than likely, we will reignite our interest in them in January and that. So maybe we'll go back in for Bruno Fernandes, because reflecting earlier on in the summer, Bruno Fernandes was one of our main priority targets. I said I would have been excited about the prospects of Bruno Fernandes playing alongside Pogba in our midfield, and because that midfield area is one of the priority areas, where Manchester United do need to strengthen up. Like I said, there's been recent reports, in regards to James Maddison from Leicester. Recent reports have said, we could actually go in for James Maddison in January. He could possibly, be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's next signing. But I think Leicester have blatantly, made it clear that, if they are to, get rid of James Maddison, they would demand a similar fee, to what they did do for Harry Maguire, because we paid 80 million for Harry Maguire. So Leicester reportedly said, we'd have to maybe pay around £80 million to get James Maddison off them in January or next summer. It did reportedly say, according to the Sports Mill, we've identified James Maddison as a potential summer signing, which is obviously next summer. I think we was tentatively linked to James Maddison early on in the summer. He wasn't one of our main priority targets. We inquired about his services. Obviously, James Maddison is only 22 years of age. He's obviously British and that. He's primarily an attacking midfielder, even though quite a few times Brendan Rodgers has played James Maddison on that left. But this is his second season in the Premier League with Leicester, because last season was his debut season with Leicester. I think so far this season, James Maddison has provided a couple of assists, but last season was involved in 14 goals, and last season created more chances than any other player did, James Maddison, in the Premier League. So I think he created around 100 chances. So I think if he was to come to Man United, I think he'd blend in our midfield very, very well. And I'd love him, to come to the football club. He's got 4 years left on his current contract with Leicester. Don't forget, Leicester only got him from Norwich last summer for around £20 million. And he had a good couple of seasons in the Championship. I do believe there was also teams, in for James Maddison, when he was a youngster at Coventry, because that's where he initially, began his career, Coventry, progressing up the ranks and all that. But reportedly, it said Man United have been interested in James Maddison, since June. But he's tenacious, his tenacity in that's really, really good. And I've watched him play, for Leicester, quite a few times. Wasn't too bad today, to be quite honest. But reportedly, he could cost us in the excess of around £80 million. I do believe that definitely Ole Gunnar Solsjaker wants to make further more investment in January, and I do believe he will stick with his transfer strategy. So in that aspect, I believe he'll still want to continue getting the pursuit of young homegrown players, because Solskjaer worked out his transfer strategy early on this summer, and he did reportedly say he wants to sign young upcoming players. But yeah, Jadon Sancho, he's another possible target. Manchester United, we could reignite our interest in Jadon Sancho. Don't forget, earlier on in the summer we was in for Jadon Sancho. Obviously, reflecting back in January, we was in for Jadon Sancho. We actually identified Jadon Sancho as our number one priority target, back in January. Obviously, our move basically got scuppered for Jadon Sancho, with our failure to qualify for the Champions League. That went against us. This is why we didn't get Jadon Sancho. I think more than likely, if we to go back in for him, I think we'll probably wait until next summer, because I think Jadon Sancho, did confirm, he's going to be staying at Borussia Dortmund for this season. But reports emerged out the other week that he's set to leave Borussia Dortmund next summer. So Jadon Sancho's had 2 seasons, with Borussia Dortmund. He's obviously now into his 3rd season at Borussia Dortmund and he has done really, really well. But obviously, if we are to go in for him next summer, we do know he's going to cost the club a substantial amount of money. We're going to have to pay around £100 million to get him. But Borussia Dortmund know how much of an imperative player he is. He is primarily right winger is Sancho. Obviously, he's under contract with Borussia Dortmund until 2022. And, the beneficial thing is also that, Jadon Sancho had experience of playing in the Premier League. Don't forget he served a couple of years with Man City. Never got assured regular first team football with City. And this is the main factor reason why I left Manchester City to join Borussia Dortmund. But he can play also centrally, can Jadon Sancho. But I would be excited about the prospects of, Jadon Sancho playing alongside the likes of Rashford, Martial and Daniel James in that in our attacking line. So possibly, could go in for him next summer. But definitely, further more investment is needed in the squad. Definitely, further more investment is needed in the squad, and we need to keep focusing on the incomings in January and perhaps next summer. But we need to also focus on more of the outgoings, despite the fact that a lot of players have now left. Since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. Obviously, Antonio Valencia left at the end of last season after he actually served 10 years at Man United. One of the longest serving players. Chris Smalling left, despite the fact that Chris Smalling went out on loan to Rome. We have still got 6 centre backs in the team. Obviously, we know Diamond's gone, Herrera and Fellaini's gone, and it was a shame that we didn't recruit a replacement for Herrera and Marian Fellaini. Herrera and Fellaini, were 2 long-serving players at the football club. Obviously, Lukaku left. I think it was good business in that aspect. That we did generate a substantial amount. For Lukaku's departure. We recouped the money that we did pay for him from Everton a couple of years ago, and that was really, really good. And we let Sanchez go out on loan, and a couple of goalkeepers have gone out on loan. But as I say now, I still think these are problematic players at the football club. That do need to go, because we have actually got quite a lot of aging up players in the squad as well. There's quite a lot of young players. There's quite a few fringe players in the squad. But I just don't think the squad's, good enough yet, to compete for the league or win the league. So I don't think we'll win the league, at least in the next 2 to 3 years. Or I don't think we'll be competing for it. I did initially say our aspirations will be that top 4 in the next couple of seasons. But like I said, with the dimension and the history of this football club, maybe we should be up there competing and, of course, winning silver. We haven't managed to do this in the last 5 or 6 years or so. And it has, been extremely, disappointing. But I hope Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure works out at Manchester United. United. We all love him a lot. He was a great player for the club, for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance. And I think his Solskjaer hopefully can replicate, what Ferguson did at the football club. I just don't see it, happening. I think a lot of people have got, massive doubts about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Obviously, it's mainly reflecting on his experience, really, because he hasn't really got the experience as a manager, not really to the highest level. So that is an element of concern. But anyway, we're not really known for a sacking club, despite the fact that 3 managers have already been sacked since the Alex Ferguson era. We've had different managers with different philosophies, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is our 4th, permanent manager, since the Alex Ferguson era. And obviously reflecting on the amount of money, that's been spent at the football club in the last 6 or 7 years, we should be much more of in a commanding position, than we're in now. So it just proves always spending big on players, getting them Glasgow players doesn't always, guarantee you success. Doesn't always guarantee you success. I'm backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer all the way. I don't think he'll be sacked this season. Even, I said maybe if we're not competing for the top 4 by January, then maybe he could be, or at least be under a serious pressure. I still believe the pressure is on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, despite us winning today and that, because it's only one game. We've got to keep winning games. That's something that Manchester United have to do. We can't just win one game and then not win our next 3 games. That's potentially not good enough. So definitely the performances need to improve. We need to be more clinical in front of goal, and that's very, very imperative indeed. Some of the with a bad run of performances, obviously in the last couple of months of last season, that's why it was so bad. Some of the blame does stem from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but also some of the blame is from the team as well. You can't always just put all the blame on the manager. But like I said, probably we will have a better season this season than what we saw last season. Well, I'm hopeful, that we can anywhere. But, I think we're good enough to win the Europa League without a shadow of a doubt. We were good enough to win the Europa League. Don't forget we did it a couple of years ago under the Jose Mourinho era. We did it a couple of years ago under the Jose Mourinho era, don't forget. And like I said, we've recently heard good news in regards to David De Gea. Don't forget, obviously, reports have been coming out today in regards to David De Gea. It actually come out yesterday. It was stemming from Duncan Castles. Duncan Castles said that actually David De Gea has already signed his new long-term contract at Manchester United. As far as I'm aware, it hasn't been officially announced as yet. Reportedly, he's going to be signing a 4-year deal. Is David De Gea with an option of a 5th year, and obviously he's going to get an increase in his wages. I think on his new deal he's going to earn around 250 grand a week, potentially rising up to 350 grand a week, related with performance, related clauses included. This is what it basically said. And Duncan Castles, like I said, the majority of the time he's reliable. I know he jumps, too early and stuff, like he did early on in the summer in regards to Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire. And I think David De Gea is set to earn around 13.3 million a season after tax, but he's going to become the club's highest paid player, which is very, very good. I'm glad De Gea is committing his long-term future to the club. I'm glad he's staying at the football club, despite, that we haven't been good in the last 6 or 7 years and we haven't been competitive enough. David De Gea, is still remaining loyal to the football club, because we know deep down that, David De Gea loves Manchester United. Basically, he's been here 8 years. He's now into his 9th season at Manchester United. And you can analyse it. The years he's been, you can say David De Gea's had 7.5 good years at the football club. I know he hasn't had a great start this season. He was making costly hours towards the back end of last season, but that was mainly to do with a contractual situation. Don't forget actually, through at the start of the pre-season, David De Gea was supposed to be signing a 6-year contract with Manchester United. Obviously, it didn't materialise though, because it said at the start of pre-season that we'd had breakthrough in negotiations with David De Gea's agent, George Mendes. But we've been in negotiations getting David De Gea a new contract now for over a year, basically. And for large periods, David De Gea said he wanted 350 grand a week, to sign a new contract at Man United. And for a long time, Man United were not willing to meet his £350,000 a week wage demands. This is why we didn't get him a new contract. But now, finally, we've got him one. The Guardian were first to report on it this week. They said early on this week that David De Gea was close to signing a new contract. Then also after that, more reports were reporting on it. And then Adam Crafton, who's an athletic journalist, he actually said this week that David De Gea is on the brink of signing a new deal with Man United. So with him signing a new deal, obviously it ends the speculation, regarding his future. So yeah, very, very happy that David De Gea is staying. Earlier on in the summer, though, it was looking very imminent that he was going to be leaving the football club, because don't forget PSG were regarded as the favourites to get him. Also, Juventus winning for him. Real Madrid have been long admirers of him. I'm surprised David De Gea, didn't make a return back to Madrid, because obviously he was born in Spain and that. He began his footballing career in Spain. With Atletico Madrid. When he was younger, rising up the ranks with them. But it didn't. Don't forget Real Madrid nearly got him in 2015. But due to a fax machine on deadline day, it was his move to Real Madrid. Never materialised. But David De Gea, obviously, I think today he made his 367th appearance for the club in all competitions. I think in all competitions now he's made about 130 clean sheets. I think he's made just over a century of clean sheets just in the Premier League. So he's been absolutely fantastic for Man United, David De Gea. We do know that his current deal did expire at the end of the season. Don't forget. He did, and it's been a change of scenery, because obviously reports came out early on this week saying that we was at risk of losing David De Gea on a free transfer. Don't forget. But I said if David De Gea left the football club, we did need a replacement for him. Don't forget there was a couple of goalkeepers in our agenda, who could have replaced him at the football club. There was talks of Jan Blanc from Atletico Madrid. There was talks of Jordan Pickford from Everton. But David De Gea is staying now, and I know we've got some backup goalkeepers. Obviously, we've got Sergio Romero. Obviously, he's one of the backup goalkeepers. Our second choice goalkeeper. We've got Lee Grant. That's one of the backup options. Obviously, Dean Henson and Joe Pereira both out on loan. But I did say anyway, David De Gea at full value, he's worth up to £100 million, because he's one of the best goalkeepers in the world. I said if we wouldn't get £100 million from him anywhere, because obviously we reflect on his poor run of performances quite recently, including the last couple of months of last season, and plus he's got under a year left on his current deal, so we wouldn't have done anywhere, but we could still look maybe cashing around 25 or 30 million pounds for David De Gea. But Solsjaker recently said in his press conference prior to the game against Leicester that he was confident that David De Gea will sign a new contract, and obviously Solsjaker anywhere wants David De Gea to stay at the football club. But yeah, he's now staying, which is very, very good news indeed. Like I said, in regards to Paul Pogba, obviously, like I said, he didn't play today. He had to withdraw from the France squad the couple of weeks ago now, was it, or the other week? He had to withdraw from the France squad after he sustained an ankle injury in the 1-1 draw with Southampton. Paul Pogba, didn't play well. He's still staying this ankle injury, and we know that Paul Pogba, does like to represent France and that, and he's really, really good for France. Won the World Cup with France last summer. Paul Pogba obviously has played 4 games so far this season for Man United, so he's played in every game. Apart from today's game, he's played in every other game. Paul Pogba, and Paul Pogba in the 4 games he's played this season has done okay. I don't think he's been out of this world. He hasn't performed to the same sort of extent as how Daniel James has, or Martial has, or Saka has, or Harry Maguire has, but I think he has done okay. Don't forget Pogba missed a penalty earlier on in the season against Wolves. He received a lot of criticism for that. He was actually subjected to online racial abuse earlier on in the season. Was Paul Pogba, but I still. The one thing I'm happy about is that Paul Pogba's going to be staying at the football club at least until January or next summer. I still believe Paul Pogba's plans for the future, is to still definitely, make a move to Real Madrid and that. Paul Pogba said early on this summer, he classified Real Madrid as one of the biggest clubs in the world. He did say at some point in his career, he does want to play for Real Madrid. This is what, Paul Pogba had said. And Zinedine Zidane himself, will be infuriated, that he didn't get his number one priority target, because Zinedine Zidane identified Pogba as his number one target and that. And, despite the fact that Real Madrid spent a substantial amount throughout the course of the summer, they spent around £300 million on 5 players, was it? They sold some players, so they did generate, some of the money back. Also, Christian Eriksen was on Real Madrid's agenda this summer. I think, if Paul Pogba is to possibly renew his contract at Manchester United, then possibly, Real Madrid will plan to get Christian Eriksen on a free next summer, because obviously Christian Eriksen's current contract expires with Tottenham, at the end of the season and that. But obviously Real Madrid's preference actually is Paul Pogba over Christian Eriksen. But we're ruthless in regards to the valuation. We're sticking to the same valuation of what we wanted earlier on in the summer. So we said we want around 179 million in January. Obviously, whether Real Madrid are going to be willing to pay that or not, I do not know. We said we wanted around that figure, earlier on in the summer, but obviously, Real Madrid were not willing to pay it. Basically, Real Madrid we're not willing to pay it. But basically, we don't want Paul Pogba to leave the football club, and this is why, we'll put a substantial amount on him. There was quite a few other teams in for him throughout the course of summer. It was mainly Real Madrid, but, there was rumours about him going back to Juventus. Paul Pogba did have 4 good years in Turin, hasn't mainly replicated this at Manchester United. Don't forget, there was talks about him possibly going to Barcelona. Paul Pogba's brother recently revealed that, Paul Pogba had spoken to Lionel Messi. Mayfield, that is his current brother. PSG reportedly nearly got him before deadline day. Reportedly said, it came out a couple of days ago that he said that Paul Pogba had agreed a £429,000 a week deal with PSG, but his move to PSG never materialised because of the Neymar saga. But yeah, also Adidas played a big part in Paul Pogba remaining at the football club. That's what it allegedly said. Adidas wanted Paul Pogba to remain at the football club because they believe it's better for them commercially. But Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, I think quite not too long ago, he's had negotiations with the football club, over the possibility of renewing Paul Pogba's contract and over Paul Pogba's future. So it'd be good if we could get Paul Pogba to a new contract. Paul Pogba's still got 2 years left on his current deal with an option of another year, and he's on around 290 grand a week, is Pogba, so he's on a substantial amount, as it does stand now. If Paul Pogba was to extend his contract with Man United, I think, he would be demanding in the excess of at least 400 grand a week, maybe even £500,000 a week, to sign a new long-term contract with Manchester United. But, Paul Pogba confirmed earlier on this summer, he basically said, he wanted to leave Man United. He said he was seeking for a new challenge. He publicly admitted, that he did want to leave the football club, and he wanted to basically leave, to rejuvenate his career. But you got Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, coming out at the start of pre-season saying that, his current client, was in the process of leaving the football club. But yeah, Paul Pogba has not yet scored this season. I think he provided a couple of assists, in the first game against Chelsea. But yeah, Paul Pogba, should be back for the West Ham game because he is a very, very imperative player. But Paul Pogba's 26 years of age, he has still got a lot of development in him. And Paul Pogba with the football club has won the Europa League and the League Cup. That came in his second season at Manchester United. That came in his second season at Manchester United. With Anthony Martial, like I said, I was disappointed, he didn't play today. I think Anthony Martial, before he sustained his injury, I think he's been one of our best players so far this season. Obviously, Martial has not played in the last 2 games, obviously with a thigh injury. And you can see the difference, about Martial in the squad, because I think Martial's improving as a Man United player. Obviously, it got confirmed at the start of the season that Martial has been given that number 9 role, because he seems to be more effective in that central position, even though he primarily plays out wide, but he's more effective in that central position. Is Anthony Martial, only 23 years of age, still got a hell of a lot of development in him. But I think a lot of things have improved about his game. He's getting more than runs in behind. His finishing, he's got that finishing assets now, something that I didn't have before. That was great. And I think so far this season, before he sustained this injury, Martial's replicating what he did in his debut season at the football club. Obviously, he's been here since the Louis van Gaal era, is Anthony Martial. Obviously, he scored 17 goals in his debut season, did Martial. But yeah, hopefully he can be back for West Ham anywhere. But yeah, I think he's been one of our best players. Luke Shaw, now I'm hopefully he can be back for West Ham. Whether he will or not, I do not know. If he isn't, maybe we probably will stick out with Ashley Young at one of them full-back positions. But Luke Shaw, before he sustained this injury, I think he's had a pretty average start this season, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But for the majority of his career, I think he's been mainly consistent, Luke Shaw. I think he's now into his 5th season as a Manchester United player, is Luke Shaw, if I'm right. He has sustained quite a few injuries, and he's had quite, a few rough patches during his Man United tenure. Had a bad patch under Jose Mourinho and that, but prior to that, I think he's done really, really well. Won the double player this season last season, Luke Shaw, reflecting on his impressive performances. like I said, other injury concerns we've got, we've got long-term absences to Eric Bay and, Fosu Mensah. They're both long-term absences. Eric Bay, of course, is out until, I think, the new year with a knee injury. He sustained this knee injury, throughout pre-season. He could be a player we could move on in January or next summer. Not because he's an inconsistent player. He's a very good player with great potential when he's fully fit, but I think it's just reflecting on the amount of injuries he's sustained as a Man United player. So maybe we could move Eric Bay on maybe in January or next summer. Fosu Mensah only returned to Man United early on in the summer. Last season he was on loan with Fulham, but he's obviously not played yet because obviously he's out with injury. He's obviously out with injury, but these still players for me that do need to go in January or next summer. Matic is one. Ashley Young needs to go at the end of the season. I think he should anywhere. I think Rojo's definitely a player that needs to go in January or next summer because Rojo. He's actually one of the problematic players at the football club, despite the fact he did well throughout pre-season, and he's going to find game time very, very difficult anyway. Rojo hasn't even played in the Premier League, so far this season. Hasn't even played in the Premier League so far this season. But don't forget Everton inquired about getting Rojo on deadline day. Obviously, a few other teams went in for Rojo as well. He's just got under 2 years left on his contract term at Man United. His versatility is good, so I think it's good in that aspect, But I think, he needs to go in January or next summer. Jones is another player I think that needs to go. He's been a long-serving player at the football club. This is Jones' 8th season now at Man United. Well, no, it's not his 8th season. He's been here 8 years, sorry. This is his 9th season as a Manchester United player, and he's too inconsistent now. And obviously, he's going to find game time very, very difficult anywhere. But yeah, for me, there's still players there that do need to go. But Solsjaker said this summer he wanted to bring at least 5 new additions to the squad. He brought 3 in, so probably needs to get at least another 2 in. But he did say at the start of the summer he was looking to build the squad, with the club's mystery in that. But yeah, a lot of money's been spent at Man United in the last 6 years. £140 million has been spent this summer under Solskjaer. Well over 140 million. Just under £400 million was spent under Mourinho. Over £200 million was spent under Van Gaal, £67 million was spent under Moyes, and so a lot of money's being spent at the football club, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, don't forget, he's inheriting them players, so the majority of this squad anywhere, he's not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, but I'm hopefully his tenure, can succeed at Man United, and I'm hopefully, that can happen. And don't forget, one of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's most iconic moments as a manager, obviously, was in the 3-1 victory over PSG last season. That miraculous comeback, we produced. That was really, really good. And one of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's most iconic moments as a player, obviously, was back in 1999. Of course, when he scored the winner at the Nou Camp against Bayern Munich, of course, win us the treble. Obviously, that's the club's greatest achievement. For me, definitely against the Stanley or West Ham, Mason Greenwood he needs to get the start. He needs to get given the start, to see, how he does perform, for a full 90 minutes. Chong, good to see him come on today, like I said. Chong recently has been in discussions with the football club over a new contract, like I've been updating you on a regular basis. Chong is remaining loyal to Man United for at least this season. There was talks about this summer of him going to PSV or his former club Feyenoord on loan. He turned these loan offers down, did Chong, because Solskjaer, I think, is assured that he will get more first team opportunities in that, but he's got to work hard to gain these first team opportunities. So he made quite a few alterations today in the game, obviously, reflecting on the injuries. I said Juan Mata started today, didn't he, in that number 10. Juan Mata didn't do too bad, to be quite honest. I know he's no longer first choice now. Obviously, our preference is Lingard over Juan Mata, but, Juan Mata, he's done okay, to be quite honest. He had a good couple of games towards the back end of last season. But yeah, I think definitely analysing the squad it is good enough for them a top 4 finish. It's definitely good enough for them a top 4 finish. So in that aspect, there's no excuse. It's just not good enough yet to currently win the league. But yeah, very, very good result today. FC Astana are coming up on Thursday. The preview will be coming up for that, sometime, it'll probably be coming up Tuesday or Wednesday, the preview for the FC Astana game. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, guys, and I'll see you guys all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.